sensitization videos that we've been able to put together.
Alua, can you toggle onto Facebook and send message that those who are attending via Facebook, because of technical complications, we are not able to, so that at least they don't
keep waiting. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you toggle off from Zoom onto Facebook to do that?
Yeah, I'm telling them there as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next video on the list, while we get people in, we have a few sensitization videos that I'll be showing. This one, I call it Amanzule and the Siege. And since our focus today is on Kurom Te S3n, I wanted to show that as well.
River Amanzule, a serene, iconic river of the Nzima people. River Amanzule runs from Ezrenuanu, where it enters the sea, and all the way to Nzulazo, the famous Nzulazo in Jomoro district in Nzima. This is what Galamseyers, faceless Galamseyers, have started encroaching at Ezima in Alambala district. At Ezima, you see the degradation that's already started on a tributary of the river Amanzule. Nzima youth are not going to sit there for this to happen. Nzima are not going to sit there for a few faceless, nameless people to do this to the iconic river. So MCE, DCE, dissect chiefs of Eziama. We are not going to sit there for this to happen to Amanzule. It's not going to happen to Amanzule.
And this is Amanzule I'm talking about. This is how serene, how beautiful it is. And once the encroachers get to it, it's gone. And it can't happen. Another quick one. Sensitization in Chi.
Yo, minia bema, minia ba a wutie me. Ye frame elua. Me kasa efa Galamsey a ekoso ewo ye mangana mo. Ma share videos bebre a emante ne mamba wa mo se muni adwuma ye enti Galamsey no naja mo ye do hwe mo ho. No kre wo hwa na ewo musa. Ewo musa se ewo se munye dum adwuma ye. Na momo mesra mo minuanom mesra mo ni ayeye wo Ghana sesi ano Galamsey na ye gina ensuo mu epotopoto clay eni nsuo no afrafra eni eyi mercury ne enioma bebre afrafra a ye di pe gold no sika wo benye free gold ni mu nu Galamsey no mu enne ni ochina no minua ebedi 5 years time no say sika no wo betwe akire bebre e de asan yare a mercury no ene chemicals na wo use no e de bebre wo no mehu emrantie ne maba wa omo adi sa adwuma yi a omo aba omo kurom abewu with kidney disease ne liver ne nioma and so wonim Ghana ye hu adekure kunu na ya se eyi na nabi na de eyi baye kunu na senkrofo ni mu ade a mercury na modi mu ho epotopoto ne eyi no ewo nsuo no mu no eye fama nipa body a anka obi tua wusike kra se koye se adwuma na wonye minuanom apart from that no so wo hwe yensuo esutia wo Ghana tisi a wo hwe na eye mmobo mihu pra mihu ankobra mihu revatano mihu birem mihu ayi ofen mihu jewe waf ayi abe laguna na mewira ho minuanom sajuma yei Galamsey emfa yenko si bebia mesremo se mu hia adwuma ya mo ya pe bibi foforo enhwe bibi foforo achini ne ye pamocha ena moma ayi nkrofo mo firi o mo ba bi o mo kromo omo ye ho fine ena ye Ghana pasa ye western region Ashanti region central region eastern brohafo ye tu asase no epete ye tu framu se yansio nyinani adane asai minuanom ebedumre bi no na Ghana gese ye tonsio frɛ brochire enti ye ba ye ni mesramo nuanom Galamsey no it's not worth it is not worth it enti mesramo monwene ho pa.
Okay, so that's our first batch of sensitization messages.
Where's Angelina?
No. So welcome everyone. I see V20 within your day. I see Matilda, I see Ejava, Mr. Amma, I see Michael, Fred, Gavin. So Gavin, welcome. I see iPhone 055, so I don't have a name. There's Shadrach, there's Galaxy, and there's Echo Battles. So welcome everyone. This is supposed to be a citizens forum, Kurom Te S3n, especially with the ongoing Operation Halt and the effort to take back the rivers. So we want to hear from people from where they are and from people of various interests, both on the mining side, but also on the side of those of us who are very, very concerned about the state of our country and of our rivers. Anybody has anything to bring up now? In the meantime, Michael, did you get anything from anything recent from Eziama and Telekubukazo and those areas?
Due to the network challenges that we are facing here, no, I've been trying to get the Nzima Youth Association chairman, but I'm not getting him. The network here is rough, especially the MTN. It's not going through at all. So I couldn't. About 3 days ago. Started about 3 days ago.
I see. Mr. Amma, anything from your side? Mr. Amada?
Yeah. Let me get my video on here. Okay, let me adjust my picture. As you are aware, we had seen the video on the Braga River, and upon further investigation, like we already know, they did stop that operation, and I think the reason why they were successful was that that town doesn't have big Galamsey or small-scale mining in the town. Even though about 5, 6, 7 miles down the road, I think there's a lot of activity going on. One of the stories that I had shared some time ago was my own nephew, whom I talked to, who had gone to another site from the town to do Galamsey. I talked to him again about 2 weeks ago, and he's back. In fact, I think he got back into the town before the government started its operation. And when I talked to him and I asked him if he made money, he said no, he didn't make money, he lost money. And I also asked him how did he get the money to go there? Because I always get phone calls about them needing help to do something. So how did he get money to go there and lose that money? And he told me that there's somebody in Accra who was funding an operation, got hold of another Galamsey operator in a town, I think 6 or 7 miles down the road. And that person is the one who hired him to go to, I think, Amenfi East area to do some work. So like we all know, it's kind of, complex, the financing, but bottom line is that he lost money and he came back. With respect to the Braga itself, of course, the operation has been stopped, and the youth there went all the way to the place where the operation was taking place to ensure that those people have not come back. Initially, they suspected that the landowner may have started washing, the soil to prospect for gold, even though the original operators had left. But they found out that when it was raining, the rain was washing the soil back into the river. But they said to some extent, the river is clearing up a little bit.
Okay. It would be good to get some recent
Madam,
pictures.
coming at Mesama, it is not the rain. What I was told is there's somebody, the guy who led that Chinese people to that side is still there. So in the evening, he used pumping machine to pump those dirty water from where the mine was to that by. So that's what they are planning now, to go there late in the night, to go and then maybe storm that place and then destroy it. That's the information I have now.
Yeah. Okay. Is that the latest? When I talked to them about 2 weeks ago, that's what they told me.
No, that is the latest. That's the latest information I have, because I've been communicating with them. So
that means the person is coming back late in the night to use their pumps. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So they are still on it, doing it at night.
No, those people have left the place, leaving the place unattended. But there's a guy who led those Galamseyers to that site. So he used to dodge and go there late in the night and mine in the night. But those let's say the bulky has left the place, leaving him alone.
Yeah, and I thought the guy is the one who made his land available for those Galamseys to come in.
Yes, that is the guy. That is the guy.
Yeah. And but by the way, the youth, from the report I got, the youth went there and warned him that they would drive him out of town if he continued doing that.
Yeah, at this point, I think if he's not going to take advantage of the moratorium they were given at first, and still wants to keep on doing that, knowing that several people rely on that river, then the community has to take care of it themselves. By the way, there are numbers too, right? The government team left numbers that people who are doing anything near rivers or forest reserves, they should call them. They should call those numbers. So we have to make that number available to them too.
Yeah, by the way, this guy, that is not the main source of his livelihood, just for your information. The person whom I understand originally led the operation is a former MPP chairperson for the local area.
Look at that.
Okay. And I've even, asked for his number, and that I'll call him to find out what's going on, but I haven't received his number yet.
Okay. Okay, so that's noted. Then we have to make sure that the team is aware to reach the task force that we're supposed to report such things to, and also make the person know that they can't destroy life for the how many people that are in that town. So he has to either be taken care of by the task force, or the community has to advise themselves, so far as he is concerned. Okay.
I had a call some few minutes ago. Somebody complained about Galamsey activities going on at this place, Jurabanso. And there's a new installed chief who is a military officer. So the guy is with us, confronted him and said, we have a group who is fighting against Galamsey. And he said his doors are open. Anytime that I'll have time, I should call him the chief, have time with him so that we'll go and meet and then find a solution to that. So I'm yet to set a date and go and meet him so that we know what to do.
But so the new chief, he can't do anything until we come in. He's the chief of the place, for crying out loud. We don't have to be the police.
He has now been installed as a chief. So.
Yeah, and he's been installed as a chief. He's realized that his place is being used for Galamsey. His people's life is at risk, and he's gonna sit there for us to come see him before he acts.
I don't know, but that's what the guy said to him, and then he gave me his number. I called him, and he said anytime he's ever ready to.
I think that the Jurabanso Galamsey started on now. Yeah. So if it needs to be stopped, the chief alone cannot do it. That is why I think he's calling you for more hands, because there are other external powers that are behind those activities. So it is beyond the chief to do it. even though he may be in support of stopping it, but I think that we going into supporting will be the best.
So
the problem on ground now, the Galamsey is both the NDC, the MPP, they are executives. They are doing it. They are doing it, especially when it gets to that Amanfi side, the central, the blah 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 blah. Even Chairman wouldn't we have a site there where the MP said, if I get to that place, they will launch me. Chairman wouldn't we have a site? I have the names. I have the names, but I'm waiting for one or two things to connect so that I can give out the names.
Yeah, then that's what we do. If they are hiding behind facelessness to destroy places and then come on air or issue statements to the contrary, then that's what we do. We make all of Ghana know who they are and who are behind it. And if the community has to be the ones taking care of themselves, they do that. Yeah, there's no reason why we should shield criminals, because mining in rivers and mining in forest reserves is a crime, and they shouldn't be doing that. So if someone, be it a MPP, executive, NDC, whatever, if they're behind it, we tell it to the whole world. There's no need to shield or hide them. I don't think they have shame. If they had shame, they wouldn't do this in the first place.
The issue is that those people or those big men behind the Galamsey, when you confront them, they will say that DS is legal. So they have, differentiated it that DS is legal mining and the other one is illegal. And so there's no way you can even, hold them. You understand? So they are calling themselves as legal miners. And if they are legal, then there's nothing that you can do against them.
Legal mining.
Master said that when I go to the place, there's nothing like legal. When I go to that side, there's nothing like legal. So that's what I'm saying. I'm gathering. I used to talk with Mom all the time. I'm gathering one or two things. If I got those things, I'll forward the names and everything to Mom so that I'll start spreading it.
Those people have permits. You understand? And so that is why they call themselves illegal. Even though the activity they do is illegal, I know. But then they have permits.
What does the permit tells you to do? Prospecting, not to mine.
Okay, then we have to tackle it from the angle.
The permit given to you is to prospect and get to see that here there is good, here there is no good. That is what the permit has been given to you to go and do. But now they are using it to mine. That is the problem now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as of yesterday, they were supposed to come up with a list of all those with prospecting licenses all over Ghana. So I don't know, there wasn't any update on it yesterday in the news. We're going to make that call. We need to see that that list. Mr. Va, you wanted to talk?
No, just one little point. I think the government has come out to say that they've placed an embargo on this Galamsey thing or mining until they come out to the list that you have mentioned. They have given numbers for people to call the operation room. So if something is going on, we don't need to be confrontational now. We need to call the number and report that this is what is going on at this place and see whether the security apparatus or security agencies will come and take action in that area. If that fails, then we can go ahead to do what you're suggesting. So I think that we don't need to name people right now. If you know activity going on, let's call the number. Let's inform them, and they are assured that they are going to keep identity of those who report confidential. Let's do that now before we proceed on anything. And that's what I'll suggest on this one for now. By the way, Canada Japan has put something, has said something, and it's on our platform. Very informative of who these politicians are, and he's threatening to come and reveal more faces, more names. That supports our cause. If we have not listened, please let's listen to that message that was put on the platform by Canada Japan, who is one of the powerful men who did the MPP. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so the numbers, that's what we keep saying. We should take note of the numbers. As a pressure group, what we can do is whenever someone sends any information to the numbers, they can notify us that we have reported so and so to the task force. then we see what action the task force takes. So that if by a certain time nothing is done, we have every right to go public and let people know the kind of people that we have running this country. Because when you say yes, your yes should be yes and your no should be no, not dilly-dally. So let's put them to the test first, and then if nothing comes out of it, we move to the next level. Any other points? So I don't know if the gentleman could join, but there's a gentleman called Emmanuel Kwam, and he says he's either the head or one of the Galamseyers or miners at the Wassa area. So he sent some voice notes. I think I will play it for those of us here to listen. And I got some feedback on the platform, but I think it's good that we all listen and then make an input on it. Let me find that.
Morning, Madam Elizabeth. Hope everything is fine.
You hear it?
Yes, sir, I've read your message. But I think I have to make things clear so that we can all come together to build a good state for our country. For what I will start by saying, excuse my language. It's either maybe you don't understand the issue of the small scale mining or the Galamsey, or maybe you are pretending maybe it's not the best for the state, for our state. For everybody to get a solution to every problem, a solution to a problem, you require things that you need to know. You have to know who the person is. If it involves a person, you must know who the person in that business is, why is he in that business, and where the person can be located. Until you find out these three questions, small scale mining cannot be resolved. These menace will continue. Well, we should not forget that we are dealing with an industry that is people's livelihood. It is what people depend on to feed their family. It is what people depend on to make sure they're able to build and invest in other businesses. So we should not be talking about the activity of these miners as if it's anything anyhow. It's people's livelihood, and we must that recognition has to be there. If you take the whole mining law in Ghana, it is about 59 pages. We have just only 3 pages for small scale mining activities. Why? Because when small scale mining, the ASM was implemented during 1987 era, there was no these heavy equipment like the dozers and then the excavators were not part of the law. It was for local, it was an artisanal small scale mining, pickers and shovels. So at a point that the business got into the hands of these large scale equipment being used into small scale, what we should have done was we should have gone back to the law to look at the law and redesign the state of how we mine properly. What the industry needs is formalization. It is not anything that we can be compromising or be talking about. We need to formalize the ASM system. The small scale mine, that's Ghana small scale mining, needs to be formalized. That is the issue. It's simplicity. The spoiling of the rivers turning into brown, the reclamation not being done. These are the 2 major challenges of the small scale mining. And it is the same two major challenges of the large scale mining. It is not only this Galamsey that are destroying the water. Large scale miners in Ghana, they have destroyed a lot of our rivers. They have destroyed a lot of our rivers. I can commonly talk about Golden Star. A lot of major rivers in our communities have been destroyed as a result of their activities. But because the regulating bodies regularize the activities of the large scale, the state of destruction is minimal. We can do so to the small scale mining association. We can do so to the Accidental small scale mining, which is the livelihood of about 3 million people within the country Ghana. Yes, there's a solution to everything. I have always been saying anybody who is an anti-miner sees mining as a destructive industry. But mining is not a destructive industry. It's about how well you care the miners within the activities and the operations of the mining sector. I believe in responsible mining. Yes, the destruction of the river, people on the that is those using the chamfine machines on the river, they are the people who must first push out of the river. After that, we look at the reclamation. Look at what is happening now. Emergency force go to the bush, get to where excavator is, and then they set fire on the excavator. They burn the excavator. What is the sense in this? Can the excavator be used to do the reclamation? We have a whole lot of deficit in terms of reclamation, which we have to make sure we reclaim all the lands that has been mined by these Galamseyers and the small scale miners. And yet we go to bush, we see this excavator and we set fire on the excavator, forgetting ourselves that we have to reclaim the land. So we must ask ourselves that who are the people doing this illegal mining? Do we know them? Are they real people? Can they be identified? Where are these people at? And why are they illegal mining? Madam Betty, let me tell you that taking a concession or going for a concession is not anything that Ghanaians can, pay money for a concession to be given to them. You will only find illegal miners, or you find Galamsey in areas where large-scale miners have taken all the concessions. And I can confidently tell you that in Western region, there are no lands for large-scale miners, small-scale miners to operate. And therefore, these people will continue to be illegal miners. Golden Star have taken the whole land of Prisia, have getting to Kurom. From Kurom, you see Eagle mining, you see Gladiator with large-scale prospecting licenses. You get to Eagle Star. From Eagle Star, you get to Adamos. From Adamos, right down to Tagbadi area, you go and see Golden Star Achempe mines taking over in Poho area, and then right down to Achempe mines. From there, you get to Ayanfre, which is another large-scale mining company there. From there, you get to Aseko mining, on and on up to Newmont, which your banks are financiers of these companies. So you can see, not that the people in these areas want to destroy water. They want to work without reclaiming the land. What it does is they does the work within a space of time and run away from the place. Because those areas are large-scale mining concessions. And if we are building a country, how do we give all our lands to large-scale miners to take over all our concessions, forgetting that in the nearest future, the children that we are grooming will also grow up to become miners and be looking for lands to do responsible mining. So it's the fault of our leaders. And by the mining law, no small-scale miner can operate on a concession which belongs to a large-scale miner. And therefore, what happens is, since they are also since they are also grown to miners, they will engage in illegal activities. Because they cannot live in a concession when they are not being employed. You see these large-scale miners, they are not employing the local people, they are not putting up strengths, they are not grooming them up to be responsible mining. society. So what happens is they will find themselves something better to do and to live as a people. So ultimately, the issue is very simple. If lands are, released, if lands are sublet, if lands are shut off, areas of large-scale mining concession are shut off to these people, they will do responsible mining. They will go to Mineral Commission, register their concession, operate as better miners with better responsible ideas and good technologies. They can mine properly. And by so doing, they will not destroy waters, they will not leave the land unclaimed. They will claim on the land they have operated on, because they can be regulated, they can be identified, and they can take every deficit that comes in the course of the operations. So if you are not looking at this small scale mining from or the illegal mining from that angle, then we are misleading ourselves as a people. We are not telling the truth to ourselves as a country. I don't think Canada, USA, and Europeans will give all their concession to large-scale mining without recognizing that the youth in the nearest future will also become miners and do mining in small scale. But here is the case, it has happened. Go to our area and eastern area. You can see the concession has been taken by large-scale people. So you can only find Galamseyers at where the large-scale miners have taken all the concessions. Because if the concession doesn't belong to a large-scale mining company, the person can go to Mineral Commission, do a search, identify the area, and move on with his get his license and operate. And we must forget that in small-scale mining, you cannot be given a license unless you have a land. That is the difference between small-scale mining and driving license. For driving license, you can go for the license before you look for a car to drive. But in small scale, you must get a land before you are given the permission to operate. Get your UPA, get your Water Commission license, and then your digging permit before you go into a rare mining. So the issue is, now I'll finish with who? These people that we term them as Galamsey, they are responsible human beings living within the catchment area of this large-scale mining. They are responsible human beings. I can communicate tell you, when you come to Pristia, I know for Pristia, people who have been in this Galamsey, and now you see them as filling station operators, opening up filling stations, running hotels, restaurants, into car business, VIP businesses, into major businesses that have employed people and they are paying them. I can give you numerous of people who have excelled from these activities of the Galamsey. And that is not to say when they are mining, they must destroy water. That is not what I am saying. But if they are organized, if they are regulated, if they are formalized, if the government use these three measures, formalize them, regulate the activities, and make sure that they operate responsibly, destroying of water, living lands unreclaimed will be out of the system. That is what the main point of these, illegal miners. That is what government must do. Mineral Commission must act. EPA must supervise. How many people do we need? We have a whole bunch of people who have completed UMAT, working at them, finding jobs to do, and they are not employed. Small scale mining, Mineral Commission can employ them, put them on various sites, serve as agents, supervisors, and technical expertise for these miners. We must build our country. The country must be built by we blacks. I am not saying foreigners have to build our country for us. I am not saying Chinese have to come and build our country, or they should come and destroy our waters and then leave our country for us. But since we are also into the activities, our activities have to be formalized. That is the simple thing we have to do as a country. Now, let me give you some records. And then you get to know what I'm telling you. In simple terms, when you take a code that was exported by, produced by a small-scale miner, and illegal miners in Ghana from 2017. Small scale mining gold, or let me say gold produced by ASM, was 1,424,351 ounces. 2018, it was 2,130,156 ounces. 2019, we had 1,679,203 ounces. If you add from 2017, 2018, and 2019, you will get 5,233,710 ounces of gold. If government was able to tax 4% of this and multiply by gold price of today, which is 2,000 Ghana cedis, we would have got 1,674,787,200. If you convert this into dollars, you are going to get it's around approximately $334,957,440. And do you know what this amount will do in our country? If Ghana, with a small scale mining, government tax the activities of these illegal miners and then the small scale miners for 3 years, we are able to produce a gold of that worth, and we can get $334 million from it. Then it's not an industry that we might be playing with. You know how much this money could do to us as a country. So we must look at these activities of the Galamseyers and the ASM in Ghana from 3 points of view: the economic point of view, social point of view, and the humanitarian or the environmental point of view.
Okay, so I hope everyone listened with rapt attention. So I'll leave it. I will let you give your feedback on it. He did raise some very good points. Mm-hmm.
Hello, can I jump in?
Did the guy give his name?
Yes, his name is Emmanuel Kwap. Yes.
Fine.
Yes, I am actually on the way, so I just want to jump in quickly before I get out of coverage.
Okay.
I want to take over from where he left off.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we are all passionate about our environment and all that, but in discussing the issues, we need to try and unpack it very well. Let's look at the issues overall. I think he hammered on livelihood issues, which are very, very true. We have over 1 million people directly mining in our small scale sector. We have a further 4.5 million who are indirectly benefiting from the local economy when it comes to ASM. And so most of these people are in there basically because of livelihood, which our leaders have failed to provide alternatives for. I just want to correct an impression that was created that ASM or somebody went somewhere and then he saw that some people had prospecting license. Nowhere in our Minerals and Mining Act do we have prospecting licensing for ASM. It's not, we don't have that in our mining and minerals laws. When a license is given to somebody in the ASM category, it's basically to go and mine. Prospecting license is just peculiar to LSMs, the large scale mining. And so that erroneous impression should be corrected. I think that the way forward, looking at the benefits we get from artisanal and small scale mining, it's formalization, as the earlier speaker said. He was talking about the amount of gold produced at the end of the year. I think in percentage terms, as at 2019, ASMs contributed 36% of the total annual output. In 2017, thereabout, it was around 42%. And this was even when the so-called ban was in place. So clearly, their contributions cannot be overlooked. For the licensing, I mean, I was telling somebody yesterday that in Ghana, wherever there's a license application, you have to, go over the full length to be able to acquire one. It's very difficult for one to gain access to license in Ghana. The Minerals Commission would have to give you a mining license, The EPA will have to give you an environmental permit. The Water Resources Commission would have to give you a water permit. And then you come back to the Minerals Commission for a digging permit. It's almost impossible to acquire these things. I have been on the field. For the records, I am an engineer. I've worked with the large-scale mining across West Africa. I'm back in Ghana spearheading ASM formalization. I have over 15 years experience as a mining engineer. And so I know what I'm talking about when it comes to these things. It is almost impossible to obtain a license here. The few that are able to obtain are through political links. And that is the truth. And that is the truth. You find people in the field and they tell you that they have initiated processes to acquire license, and it's almost impossible. Also, for the records, the Minerals Commission have district offices and satellite offices. But I tell you what, you can't start an application in the district. It has to come to the head office in Accra. And this is so frustrating. These are the real issues that activists should look at before unpacking them. We shouldn't just look at the water bodies, of course. The water bodies and everything, it affects all of us and it will come back to hunters. But let's look at the real issues. There are over 150 blockout areas across country for small scale miners, yet they do not get access to them. And I have all these blockout areas. I ask myself, these areas have been blocked out for small scale miners, but why is it so difficult for them to, get these lands or these concessions to mine? If you
okay, one moment, Echo. So you bring up a point because Kwame's Emmanuel's point is the place is almost all been given out to large scale miners, and so they have nowhere to even look for in the first place in order to apply.
I am saying that. No, it is true. What he's saying is true, but I am also saying that the Minerals Commission has over 150 blockout areas that has been gazetted for small scale miners, yet they do not have them. So you ask yourself that, where are these lands going? And that is where Emmanuel's points come in. They go to the large scale miners. On paper, it has been blocked out for small scale miners, but yet it goes to the large scale miners. As per our mineral laws, after a while, the large scale miners are supposed to shed off some of their lands for small scale miners. What happens is that you do exploration, and when you find out that it's not so economical for you as a large scale miner, you return it back to the state, because the small scale miners who, total cost is lower will be able to use them. But yet they still hold on to those lands. They don't give it out to the small scale miners. And is the law working? It's not working. Regulation is not working. So these are a bunch of frustrated people. I sit in my hometown, for instance, in some district. Behind me or in the town, I know there are gold deposits. I see large scale people coming to mine. And yet when I initiate the process to obtain a license, I don't get it. And I'm hungry. What would they do? They will go out there and mine. So I think that the basic point is to look at it from a purely livelihood point of view. It's not just the miners, but our women and our mothers also depend on them. If you go to some of these mine sites, after the small scale miners have processed their minerals, you find our mothers also doing what they call koli. They take the leftover, they wash it, and they're able to get something. I had some interactions with some women in Chebi the other day, and some of them said that if they could, for instance, get as low as 500 cedis, they'll be able to start a trade. It tells you how dependent our districts or our people are on small scale mining. Are we going to just look at the environment and say that these people are destroying our environment, and so we won't look at the livelihood issue? I think that's where our problem is. We need to formalize the sector. By formalization, what do we say? We say make it easy for them to get license. Make available geologically prospected lands to these people. What it means is that you give them lands that there is sure bet they will get minerals from it. And so they will go in there, mine for profit, and then also reclaim the land afterwards. In fact, another challenge they have is access to finance. So when you give them geologically prospected lands, they can use this as bankable documents or collateral at our financial institution to be able to access capital to do their work. We are also saying that in order to mine sustainably, train them, set up demonstration centers, experimental mines, incubation centers, teach them bookkeeping. Let's trace some of these minerals, and then our country will be the biggest benefactor. Formalization is the way to go. Let's put all hands on deck and push for formalization of our sector instead of vilifying small-scale mining without even looking at the contribution to our total GDP and our national input. I think I would like to stop here for others to also continue.
Thank you, Echo. Those are some good points. One thing to let you know, though, that so far as the rivers remain destroyed, these very good points you raise are not going to get attention because the environment is not just a sideshow. The environment is critical. So I will let a few people with hands raised come in. Kwesi?
Okay, thank you very much. And I am happy to be part of this. Just a few points. I think that if you look at those who are involved in this small-scale mining activity, if you look at the drudgery they go through, you would realize that they don't go in just because it is fun or just because they want to be destructive. It is a real activity that is a little easier for people eking out a living. It does not mean that they should be destructive anyway, but we need to first and foremost understand that those who go in don't go in there for a joke. It is because sometimes it is the last option available. Also, the numerous people you see in the field who sometimes get punished, who sometimes get beaten, are not the real beneficiaries of the activity of small-scale mining. The real beneficiaries will be living in Accra, Takoradi, or even outside the country. So those who bear the brunt of sometimes government action are those who are just there physically to do the work of those who have invested for extra wealth, and that needs to be noted. Now, the third point I just wanted to make is just to clarify that when we say the bulk of the concessions are for large-scale miners, seriously, we are not talking about large-scale operating companies. Most of the licenses for prospecting and reconnaissance licenses are held by Ghanaians who take them and sometimes parcel them out for other activities. It is not, statistically, it is not held by the Newmonts, the Goldfields, and all the big companies. I'm not exonerating them, but these are the facts. It is, and most of the mining companies who obtain prospecting licenses often obtain them from Ghanaians who hold on to them and do not either give them away or they parcel it out for illegality. But it is important that the small-scale mining activity cannot be wished away. It needs to be, we need to find a way of ensuring that they exist, they contribute, and they do not destroy the environment. I think that's why we have been quite lazy to be bold enough to take the decisions that will help. I mean, and I agree with Mr. Bartels when he talked about formalization. We've spoken about that for a very, very long time. I mean, it's an old concept that the country has not been very bold enough to go for. Formalization, I mean, formalization does not necessarily mean legalization or just going through the laws and all that. If you organize people, got a structure onto them, and gave them responsibilities, that is formalization. I mean, even before you get into the laws and all that, if you got them organized, and I have been part of that before. I used to work for a company which tried to, support small-scale miners. Now, on the fringe of the law, they gave them a place to work, they gave them cars, they had leadership, and they had rules and regulations to work with. Even though the land had not been given formally by government, they were doing it properly. So that is that could be my definition for formalization. That would be the first step to proper.
So what happened? What happened with that one?
No,
it worked before.
It worked before, but again, the dynamics of mining, the dynamics of and I was in charge of that. And at a point when gold price started soaring high, areas which were hitherto thought to be non-economic became economic. And therefore, you realize that the owners then began to say that, look, now I gave it to you at this time. I need the grounds, go away, and so on. So the key point here is that it is possible to formalize even before legalizing. And this differentiation should have to be made. And I also think anyone who wishes away the small-scale mining industry has himself to blame, because it never goes away. And the way we tackle the problem is not about the environmental side, which is really where we should tackle it from. We are tackling it from the people who are there. We should look at how it is done and its impact on the environment. And it's not the people who are doing it and making money or not making money. I think if we do it that way, we will insist on how to do it, and rather than why you are doing it. I think it's something that we need to also look at. I mean, basically, and just to introduce myself a bit better, I have been sometime the CEO of the Minerals Commission, so I understand some of the things that have been said earlier on. I've been involved in writing and research in this area for a bit, and I think it's something that we need to sit down, take politics aside, which is what is destroying our country. Everything has become political, and therefore something that needs to be objectively discussed becomes overtoned by politics. And I believe we should begin to move away from
that. Thank you so much. And if you have been an executive of the Minerals Commission, then I think that whatever we're seeing now rests on you and your predecessors and your successors' hands. Again, the environment. Yeah.
Yes, I was going to accept that, because it's an age-old problem, and because there's no continuity of implementation, and that's again the bane of our politics. A government comes to power and wants to come with either a non-existing idea or want to call off the previous effort. If it were continuous, as it happens in Canada, in the country where you are, or in some other jurisdictions, I believe that we would have understood and solved the problem properly. I think that's a challenge. That's why I mentioned politics as a bane to most of the things we do.
Yeah, thank you. And for some of you like that, we would want to have you on board to make sure that we deal with the things that matter. But for sure, the environment can never be a footnote to this discussion. Like we always say that the house is on fire. Right now, nobody is going to have time to even see the good of ASF. If I realize that my Amanzule is going to be destroyed, whatever else you say, it's not going to touch my ear. We have to see what is wrong. We know there is a small-scale mining association. It's an association, right? So they should have some structure in place to say, this is where you can go, this you can't go. Then in that place, I mean, until the river started turning, I didn't even know about this industry and didn't really care much about it. But when I see my river going, it's not going to be it's going to be a different thing altogether. So very good point raised. I will let Ejava come in, and then there's Fred and also Prof. Henson. So we'll go according to.
First of all, I would like to, I think Mr. Echo Bartels, if I got the name correct, or as it shows on my phone, and then Mr. Kwesi Oben, and our brother, the one who spoke first, Kwam.
Emmanuel.
Yeah, that's right. First of all, I would like to say that, and I think our brother Kwesi Oben pointed out that we have to take politics out of this. Of course, the GAG platform is apolitical. We are not aligned to any political party. And I think the GAG came into existence because of the destruction, the wanton destruction that has been observed on our environmental front. And I'm talking about river bodies, I'm talking about lands, I'm talking about children who don't go to school, and diseases that these activities are bringing to the people, the population in those areas and those who are engaged in it. Now, you have raised excellent points, and I think Mr. Bartels and Mr. Oben we need you to be strong members of the GAG group, because we need your expertise as you move along. Now, I have a few questions and also comments to make. I think if Ghana has gotten to this stage where we have now seen almost all the rivers in Ghana, with the exception of Amanzuru or maybe one or two somewhere that I don't know, spoiled, depriving people of their livelihood. You're talking about a Joint Lagoon or Abe Lagoon. You're talking about a Pra. You're talking about a Cobra. Areas where we used to get fish and other seafoods are no longer there. And people who depend on these have also got their livelihoods slashed, including other people who also depend on. So people who go and fish, and other people also, the fishmonger, the women and other men will also go and buy and go and sell. All these people don't have jobs any longer because of the destruction that have been caused to these rivers. Not only that, there are some of the rivers that people used to drink. As you know, in our areas, you go to the bush and there's a stream of river there, you want to fetch some water to drink. If you cannot go with a vortic or whatever you want to take to the bush, our people, my mother and father, will not go to the bush of vortic. They want to go and drink the water there. And now they cannot do that anymore. So the question is, what do they drink when they get into the bush? So, and we also do have, we know that, and of course, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Battles and Mr. Oben, that the large scale, the bigger companies use cyanide, whereas the small scale mining companies, they use mercury, which is very dangerous and it's a banned substance, but they manage to get it and use it to collect the gold, unless I'm mistaken. Now, we all know the devastating effects of the mercury on human beings, on the land, on the rivers. So I think these are the concerning issues. We are not against, and you pointed it out, that we have to differentiate between the doing it, the act of doing it, how they engage in it, from how they do it. Now, and I think in Ghana, we have gotten to the stage, if this started years ago, that they've not been able to regularize them. The question is, going forward, how are we going to be able to trust that they're going to be able to regularize these small-scale miners? And the other question is, what capacity do they have to be able to reclaim the lands and even the water bodies that they destroy with the mercury? How are we going to deal with that? I think these are lingering questions on my mind that maybe, if you can, you may want to ask. As you are advocating that it's not a question of maybe stopping it, that it's not going to be wasted away. It will be there, but they need to be regularized properly. And of course, like I'm saying, we know, and of course, you have been with the Mineral Commission before. There is a supervisory wing of the Mineral Commission. The question is, have they been doing their work well? EPA, have they been doing their work well? And all these agents, supervisory agencies who are there, the question is, have they been? If they have not been doing their work well, and that's where maybe we are where we are. And why hasn't the government been able to give licenses to these small-scale miners over the years? And so, having seen what is at stake right now, the river bodies, the lands, the other things, the chemicals that are being used, is it something that can be properly engaged in? And should the government, as you are saying, should we now advocate the government to regulate these people? How are they going to engage in this kind of activities without using the mercury? Or without the mercury, they can still, engage in this land destruction and water destruction, and nothing will happen to our river bodies. These are certain questions which are lingering on my mind. So I will be very grateful if you could provide some explanations to these kind of issues that I've raised, and then we'll see. But I think that over the years, government has not been able to do it, and that's where we are. That government is stopping them and saying that, okay, those who have been, even those who got licenses for prospecting, have been engaged in mining, which is completely wrong. And that's why I think right now the government has taken the decision that he has taken, and we'll see how the government is going to regularize this the way forward. If you're able to support us and provide explanations, genuine points as to how we can also support in shaping this policy of the government, the GAG group, shaping this policy of the government going forward to properly regularize these activities, if it is possible, then I think we can also look at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Van. Dr. Oban, you want to say something before I go to Fred?
Okay. First of all, mercury, the use of mercury in this country is legalized. It's not illegal. There's a law that supports the use of mercury. And I know mercury has been overflocked as being a bad boy of the small-scale mining industry. Yes, a study that was conducted not too long ago actually indicated that the biggest danger to our land is more the hydrocarbons, the petrol and the diesel and mud, which is probably the biggest problem. This is not to downplay mercury, because mercury could be dangerous if it is ingested. And again, the Minamata Convention is placing a reduction and eventual ban on the use of mercury in mining. So I see that there is a gradual effort, even internally, to move away from the use of mercury. So I believe that over time, mercury would be faded out, and maybe some non-mercury, non-chemical means of mining will be introduced. That is also sustainable, because it must also be affordable to those who do it. Now, the third point is how to stop this menace. I have never been a believer of the use of force in stopping things, because they are not sustainable. I had the opportunity to talk to some people in the OECD that was in West Africa, the meeting. And then I asked a simple question. When you use force to stop something and you put people to apply force for over time, and the guys who are applying see that there are some more benefits from, I mean, when they are given some, as you know it in Ghana, sometimes you have people who have money and they tell you, don't come to my area, I'll support you. And we saw it happening in the last effort when the Operation Vanguard was going. Some people were even caught, turning into small-scale miners themselves. So I believe in a long-term approach, is sustainable, which is based on the formalization concept and even the reorganization of the sector. If you look at our laws and you want to understand what small-scale mining is, and that our law talks about small-scale mining, not even ASM. What the law tells you is that it's mining by Ghanaians who are 21 years. I mean, a Ghanaian who is 21 years old or above. And then what else did they say? That you have a piece of land of about 25 acres and you have a license from the Minerals Commission. So that is small-scale mining. I see it as a very warped way of telling us what it is. And so that's a problem. And I believe we can resolve that by clearly defining what it is. What is it that you can use in mining? What are the limits and all those things? I think that should be done. Secondly, if you look at our laws, it is only in our practice, it is only small-scale mining, or it is only mining where you have small scale and then you have large scale in this our country. Even though we talk about SMEs, small and medium size industries or enterprises. So I think that we should reorganize the small scale mining sector, and this is not a new thing. We have spoken about it. We've written about them and all that. That we do it in a way that we can have cooperatives or some structure that moves into a medium size sector, in a way that you can have a small scale sector, a very small artisanal mining sector, and then a medium sector that absorb the bigger ones that are using excavators and all these modern machines that are very destructive. In that way, you can easily control it. The reason why there is better, in my view, there is better regulation or better control of the large-scale mining sector is that in the large-scale mining sector, in fact, Ghana effectively large-scale mining companies, like we're talking about the Goldfields and the Newmonts and all that, is only about 17 or so. So, regulation is easy, monitoring is easy, but if you have what we have now, and God has blessed this country, like it or not, I mean, from the north to the south, you can see traces of gold and other minerals. So monitoring is problematic. It is not because the Minerals Commission, I believe, want to monitor, but it's dire impossible. And when you monitor and you see something going wrong, what do? You have to have someone enforcing the law. And when you talk about enforcement, it is not the Minerals Commission that enforces the law in a way. I mean, I'm talking about regulation and enforcement. That is why in the highway, when the road is constructed and somebody offenses the road law, it is the law enforcement agencies that come. Are they willing and prepared to take active role in enforcing the infringement on the law? So these are all the complexities that we need to untangle and address. We need to redefine the small-scale mining sector. We need to ensure that we have repackaged it in a way that some could be brought together either in cooperatives or in some medium sense in a formalized way with different regulations, with different issues around them. And then obviously the other support system must be given, like the finance and all that. We must make the small-scale mining sector look like the big mining sector, but in a smaller way. We must do it also in a way that people in the communities who cannot afford the excavators and all those things can do it in a way that is properly conducted and that doesn't overly destroy the environment. When small-scale mining has been there for a long time, artisanal mining, so to speak, has been there for a very long time. Nobody heard about it because the impact was not that great, because they were using simple implements. They were using shovels and pickers and all the impact was, then they were not doing that on riverbanks. So little did you see or hear about that. But now it has become sophisticated and we still call it small-scale mining. It has become very big. People are using trommels, people are using excavators and all that. And so some of us have proposed that we should restructure the system so we can have a middle tier. And in the middle tier, you have all these big guys in with different sets of regulations. And I believe that will be, in my view, some of the way forward.
Okay, thank you so much. Fred?
Yes, and just to quickly add, yes, the earlier speaker was right when he talked about cyanide. Cyanide is also used in gold extraction. It's what we call the gold leaching, and it's quite an expensive, venture. So you find out that most of the large-scale miners use this method, and mercury is quite also a cheaper alternative. The reason why, the small-scale miners use that. There are two projects that is being rolled out by the World Bank. One called the Ghana Land Restoration and Small-Scale Mining Project, which will take off in September. And then there's also the pollution project with the EPA. And both of these projects are looking at supporting the ASM sector in terms of finding alternative to mercury use. So there are various kind of proposals for, direct smelting and other methods and all that. So what the sector needs is actually support for them to use the right methods and then also mine sustainably. I just want to end by also acknowledging Dr. Obeng. He's such a great person and a great mind in mining. Unfortunately, because of lack of continuity, he left the Minerals Commission. I think that is also our problem, like he talked earlier. I mean, you find out that because of politics, we don't have continuity. People who can do the work are kicked out. So it is good to hear him speak on this platform, and I salute him.
Thank you, Eko. I would say that.
And thank you, Eko. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Dr. Obeng, are you the chairman of the Amenfi Rural Bank? Are you?
I am. I'm a very proud chairman of that bank. It's the best rural bank in this country.
Oh, I mean, I don't know, but
that's correct.
I'm from that area, and Kurom, which is Amenfi East, is also one of the worst offenders of this whole river body destruction. But that's a whole different discussion. And the reason why when the guy said Dr. Obeng, I had looked you guys up because I'm a banker. I'm a retired banker, banking executive here in the US. So when I saw the guy said Dr. Obeng, it just clicked in my mind that you might be the guy. So we can engage in that conversation at a later date. So But
please, let's do, please.
Yeah, we'll do that. And I know that some people have their hand up, so I'm not going to talk for very, very long. The point is that our group, the Galamsey Action Group, is for all the formalization and all the regulations and the structures that are being talked about. Listen, me, I had my whole career in corporate America, and not just low level, middle level. I'm talking about senior level corporate America. So I understand all that. But the point is that if you look at where we are in Ghana today, the river bodies, all the pictures and videos that you see, Ghana cannot sustain that. It is an existential question for us. So it's not that we want to take people's livelihood away, but those people may not even live with all the, and I hear the experts saying that mercury is not as dangerous as, hydrocarbons. I don't know. What I know is that when I use my light bulb or my thermometer and they say mercury in it here in the United States, they say you have to discard it very, very carefully. There's a special place that you take it. You just don't throw it in the trash. So for those experts to say that mercury is not that, as bad as hydrocarbon, I don't know. But what I know is that it's really dangerous. And what is being done to the Ghana water body, there's no excuse. We have regulations, we have governments come and go, we have people in senior positions, and nobody solved the problem. But we have to be able to stop it and then start looking at all these recommendations which are coming out to put it together as a proposal to the bodies who are in authority to do something about it. But for now, we cannot sustain where we are now. You can't have 99% of your rivers choked, looking yellow and red, and the lagoons, the ocean, the fish being killed, and you just can't do that. You can't do that. Okay, that's all I have to say for now.
Yeah, thank you, Ejama. I think you said it right. Like we can polish the ground when it's said and done. But right now that it's on fire, we have to get the consensus to know that it's a big issue and we need to get a handle on it before we do all the nice stuff. Fred Labi.
You can hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm just going to start from where the last speaker ended, which is that nobody wants people to lose their livelihoods, but then it's important not to say because people need to eat, then they can destroy the environment. For example, I have been one of the people campaigning against mining in the Tiwa forest, for example. Now, you can make all the arguments that mining in the Tiwa will bring in money for development and so on and so forth. But the counter argument then is that, can you just destroy everything just because you need money to develop? Develop for who? Are you going to develop for a country that doesn't have water? Are you going to develop a country that doesn't have the environment has been destroyed, and as a result, people are dying from waterborne diseases? Who are you developing the country for? So that's the main point that for some of us we've been making. Yes, mining will have to continue. We all use devices that have metals in them. All of us are using phones and so on, which has gold in it. It has aluminum in there. It has so many minerals, which needs to be mined in one way or the other. And so it would be hypocritical on our part to say all mining should stop. That's simply not possible. There must be mining, but it must be sustainable. And two, there must be some places where no mining happens. Even if that place has all the wealth in the world, mining will not happen there. I mean, if somebody came up and said he's found gold beneath the Flagstaff house, So we should allow them to pull down the Flagstaff House and take that gold. We would all be up in arms. We would all say, no, that's not possible. If we can protect, say, the Flagstaff House or our Chief's Palace or somewhere from being mined and destroyed, we should be able to do so for our water bodies and for certain specific nationally significant environmental and natural resources. That's the case we are making. I'm sure there are several areas where you can mine sustainably. There are several areas where you can mine with the environment in mind, and we will all support that. It's job creation. It employs thousands of people. We know that. We understand that. But you don't mine in certain areas, even if all the money in the world can be found there because of its strategic importance. That's the case that some of us have been making over the time. And absolutely, river bodies should be out of the question completely. It should, and that's why most of us have been speaking up a lot. I have been speaking about river bodies for a very long time. Elizabeth knows this way before the latest wave of people joining in, which got the government to talk about sending in the soldiers and so on. So definitely there must be mining, but not in certain areas. And that this period of, shall we say, where government says everybody should stop, can be used as the period to kind of come up with these proposals, these new ideas as to defining maybe up to this number of kilometers each side of a river, there should be no mining. Beyond that, we can mine and so on. I'm sure once those things have been put in place and people start to mine, yeah, the minerals are there. They would definitely have to be mined one way or the other. And I don't have a challenge with that, but I certainly have a challenge if people started destroying the Akosombo dam area in search of minerals, there will be absolutely no justification whatsoever for it. Even if it's bringing us $50 trillion every year, there would be no justification for it. That's the point we are making.
Thank you so much, Fred.
Madam, can I say something, because my time is up and I have to leave to a certain place.
Okay, sure.
Mr. Eko Battles and then Mr. Kwesi Oben. Galamsey Action Group, our main agenda, our main objective is to fight against mining on river bodies and then places which are not good. That is our main problem. So that is where we are fighting now. We have to let it is clear. We are not against your mining, but do it in a proper way, to which you will not destroy the land and then the river. That is our main objective. Mr. Battles and Mr. Kwesi Oben. Thank you.
Thank you. Well noted. By way of, Madam Moderator, by way of a quick information, as part of the World Bank project I talked about, there will be a review, or there will be an LI or a law that will be passed to protect our river bodies. And we are looking at extending the buffer zone. So currently what we have as our buffer zone will be extended further so that people will not mine very close to the river. So I think that we should find time to probably, get some of these things out so that we can also be educated about what is being done to save the river and then our environment. Thank you.
And then lastly, before I go, Mr. Eko and Mr. Kwesi, if you are not part of our group, we will be very happy you join us so that we fight what we are fighting for.
Okay. All right. Nana Lua,
Yes.
if I may come in quickly, first of all, about the mercury thing, I did not say that mercury was not dangerous. In fact, as I said, mercury is extremely dangerous. But I said that a research that has been done recently indicates that really the thing that dominates the negativities of small-scale mining is probably not, because mercury is used at home, mostly. Those who try to amalgamate the ore go do it outside the operational area largely. It doesn't mean that it's not dangerous. It's extremely dangerous, and we need to do everything to stop it. And as I said, if you look at the Minamata Convention, there is a systematic effort to actually take out mercury in mining completely. I think within 10 years or something like that. So that's there. And then finally, the issue about laws. You know, Ghana has a lot of fine laws. Even the buffer zone, there's just a buffer zone. But the enforcement is a problem. Not too long ago, we created for the first time punishment for those who breach, a major punishment for those who breach the small-scale mining laws. This was even extended further by current government. Yet, how many people have been actually arrested and tried under those laws? So I think, yes, we can have nice laws, and we must have them. But I think we need to ensure that we enforce these laws. And I agree with you that the water bodies must be the first point of action when we are trying to stop this menace. That's why I said we should start from the impact rather than from the people. What they do to our water bodies should be the focus rather than the people who are there. And I totally support the negative things we see about our beautiful water bodies.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Let me make one point before Dr. Ben and
okay. That's a hand up, so okay.
Yeah, just two quick points. Our brother Ekobates mentioned the World Bank coming out of a policy or something on destruction of river bodies or water bodies. I think it's been long overdue. Right now, our rivers are nothing to write home about. So I just wanted to find out, why would the World Bank stay there? And of course, why would we as Ghanaians, having a government, stay there for World Bank to come and give us a proposal as to how to solve our river bodies which have been contaminated? Now it's terrible, as you all can see, and the cry has been so loud because people have seen the devastation that these river bodies have sustained because of this irresponsible mining. And the second thing is that, of course, if Dr. Ben is admitting that mercury is dangerous, and we know that these small-scale mining companies or groups are using mercury, not any other chemical, and they have used it over the years till now, to date, then it's a serious threat for us. And of course, they would also agree, as you have been saying, that if we are not careful, Ghana may be importing water at some point to drink because we cannot drink the water that we have. Because nobody knows what content of mercury has entered the waters that we are going to drink as we move forward. So these are the concerning things that this group came about, to also add our voice to other voices out there. I know we have the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, led by Kanashigbe and others, who are also trying to force the government to do the right thing to make sure that we don't live in a crooked world, we don't live in a polluted Ghana, but we live in a Ghana that is free of contamination of river bodies, lands, and then the production of sicknesses for our people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ejava. In fact, even under the current laws, you cannot mine within 100 meters of a river. And we have the chamfines right in the middle of rivers like Tano. Like, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Prophet Hilson.
I think Gavin, yeah, he's had his hand up for quite a long time. So.
Yeah, Gavin, you there?
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me? Or?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, I just want to respond to some of the comments that have been made, and I may be a bit all over the place because there's been a lot of interesting comments that have been put forward. I mean, the first is that I think we have to put the, sorry, it's my bird in the background making noise. So if you hear noise, it's just my bird chirping. We have to look at the informality over time. Okay, I mean, to go back to the last comment, the government has created this informality. And this is a result, what we see right now is a result of very poor policy and laws, coordination of laws and enforcement over time, as well as disconnections between institutions. So when the small-scale mining project was launched in the early 90s as an institutional framework to regulate and to support artisanal and small-scale gold mining in Ghana, it was done with good intentions. There were 4 core pillars of that institutional framework: the then Mines Department, the Minerals Commission, the Precious Minerals and Marketing Company, and the Geological Survey. And what happened over time is that the Geological Survey got sidelined. The Mines Department became the Inspectorate Division of the Minerals Commission with the passing of the 2006 law. The Precious Minerals and Marketing Company, which was established to provide purchasing services to miners, realized quickly over time that it didn't matter if the miner was legal or illegal, it could still buy the gold. So there's no incentive for it to get involved really in the formalization process. So you had all these disconnections and power shifts. The EPA was added on to the regularization process very late on, like about 5 years after the actual laws were passed, which officially legalized small-scale gold mining in Ghana in 1989. So it was an add-on. And what happened as a result was it made the whole process cross-ministerial, and that's created the complications we see today with getting licenses, as Echo has alluded to, as Dr. Robin alluded to, the difficulties with getting concessions because of the landscape being pretty much under concession to foreign mining companies and Ghanaian mining companies and mineral exploration companies. So these bureaucracies have accumulated over time and made it extremely difficult to get a license. So it's created this informality we see. Now, if you look at the water bodies now, and as I've stressed time and time again, we're of the view and we want this problem fixed. And you've used several metaphors, including on several occasions, the house is on fire. And I understand this, but you have to understand too that in order to put the fire out, the process will be systematic regardless. Removing people physically from the riverside isn't going to fix the problem, because this is a manifestation, as is the health and safety concerns, as is the land degradation concern, as is the child labor concern, all these hallmarks of informal ASM in Ghana and elsewhere in Africa. It's the products of informality. So unless you deal with the root causes of informality, these things aren't going to go away. As I always tell people, 10 years ago, if you told me that there would be over 50,000 Chinese running wild in the Galamsey sector by 2015, I would have wagered a bet that nothing like that would ever happen. But it's just a manifestation of informality. Until you deal with the root causes and you formalize and support the sector, these problems are never going to go away. They're only just going to be compounded. So as I've indicated before, we want this problem fixed, but it has to be done in a systematic manner, because it isn't just a case of addressing, it's not the environment or livelihoods, it's both, because you can promote small scale mining in a way which satisfies the livelihoods demands of these people, as well as promote activity which is environmentally friendly and doesn't impact the environment to the extent that it has. You talk about the government. It's the government that's the reason why we're in this situation, and this is the problem we face, because they've sort of been, it's the miners, unfortunately, who have been blamed, and many of them are trying to get licenses, and it's the government that's made it very, very difficult for them to get licenses, and they're the ones that are organizing these destructive military sweeps. We saw with Vanguard how, and Dr. Robin alluded to it earlier, I mean, he was talking about informality and security and so on. What happened under Vanguard was basically the people who were mining were come into contact with the police and the security forces, and it was just the security forces and the policemen just replaced the miners. So, you know, you have this informality becoming more and more entrenched as a result. Again, you have to deal with the root causes of that informality. And you look at Vanguard, and this is the problem I have. I mean, I understand, you know, the purpose of the campaign is to eradicate, and the gentleman just now clarified very specifically that this is about removing Galamsey from the water bodies and from the forested areas, which needs to happen. I mean, and I've indicated we're talking about a very small percentage of miners who are mining in those areas. But the problem is very few people distinguish between miners who are mining illegally in other places for legitimate reasons and people who are mining alongside the water bodies. And the evidence of that was during Operation Vanguard, when all mining activities were banned, including those who had licenses. So it's just a case of, you know, if we have these sort of blanket approaches, or if we don't nuance the different types of mining, and we don't distinguish between the miners, we get ourselves into a situation that we were in after the ban was lifted, where everyone is really in a problematic situation, trying to find their excavator, trying to find their equipment, trying to recoup their investment. So it becomes a much more complicated situation like we're seeing right now. So it's largely an institutional issue, and it's largely a legislative issue, and it's the formalization process that needs to be fixed. And if we're able to expose how impoverished these formalization processes are and the legalization process is, then I think, you know, this would go a long way towards showcasing how these people are really struggling to get licenses and really generate that sympathy that we need to ensure that effective policy is implemented. The last thing I wanted to say is that there's been attempts made in Ghana to reclaim lands. I mean, there was a reclamation fund launched in the early 90s, and it was successful. It didn't gather a lot of money, but it was successful. It gathered in the range of $20,000 US. But what happened was, because, and it's still the case, the Precious Minerals and Marketing Company captures a significant share of the gold that's mined in Ghana. A small percentage was taken off the tax and pumped into a fund. So these are the types of things. It doesn't, you know, I'm not condoning what these miners are doing, but it does give us some funds to play around with and to address the very issues that you're looking to address. The last point I want to make is that don't let what you hear about miners persuade you into thinking that that's what the miners are all about. These are people who are willing to play ball. You know, for the longest time, people in the Minerals Commission, in the government, and not only in Ghana, elsewhere in Africa, would always sort of tell me that the reason why miners don't want to get a license is because they don't want to pay tax. And I told them, my response was, hold on a second here. Don't you realize that operating illegally or operating in the informal economy, as a result of being sort of sidelined and being prevented from formalizing your activities, you are in effect paying tax. You have to pay bribes, you have to pay monies to the chiefs. You guys spoke about the chiefs. I mean, these people are involved in this activity. So miners want a license and want to be regulated because of what it would mean. It would mean security of tenure. It would mean not having to look over their shoulders, running away from police. It would mean theoretically being able to go into a bank and getting a loan to purchase or to lease more environmentally friendly technologies. So these are the things that I'm hoping you think about when we talk about formalization. Dr. Robin and Mr. Bartels alluded to it. You know, it's a process. It's not just about getting someone a license, but it's about opening up doors for these people. Whether it's the technology route, whether it's the finance route, whether it's just the general support route. So this is what I'm hoping happens moving forward. And unfortunately, we have another military activity in Ghana, which is probably going to lead to the same results as the last military exercise, because I don't think any of us that study this sector in depth in Ghana and elsewhere in Africa would ever condone anything like this, and are of the view that it further entrenches some of the problems we're looking to tackle. Thanks.
Thank you, Gavin. You do raise a few points, but what I would also want to add is we are coming up with an immediate, a short-term, and then a long-term kind of solution list proposals that we're looking to make. But the immediate, like every one of us here on the side keeps saying, is the mining on rivers have to stop. The destruction has to stop. And although we talk about formalization, I don't know what the link is between that and legalization, but we do have laws in this country that says, don't go mine within 100 meters of a river. Some of these small-scale miners, we hear of small-scale miners association. I think there are a few of them. So the people mining on the rivers, do they belong to these associations in any way? And if they do, is there a reason why this association cannot put a house in order? Because if you want to be invited to the table, if you want to be at the table, you don't excuse my language, you know, mess up all over the place, right? So if we were to have some kind of sympathy, and I understand that you've leased out all the land, so where do people go? But even in the little way, where you can do something, you've chosen to do it in the very place that affects everybody else. So then you don't win sympathy that way. So that immediate leaving the rivers, I think that one, there are no two ways about it. And I give it to this government. They did give them 2 weeks notice to pack up and leave. So those who are seeing their excavators burnt, they chose not to do that. And if you choose not to do that, it means that for you, the destruction of the rivers, again, is like a footnote to you. But like everybody has said here, there are, for every 10 miners that are going hungry because they can't mine in a river, there are hundreds of thousands of fishermen, people who rely on the fishes, the hotel industry, even just regular living, who cannot, because Tano is destroyed and Cobra is destroyed. So we have to see to the immediate solution first of clearing these people off the rivers, making sure that at least the river over time can start cleaning itself. And then we are very sympathetic to what the small scale miner is going through, and especially Kwam got to me, Emmanuel, that we've been trained to be like, we've lived our lives as miners. We've grown up as miners. We live in a place where there is gold. We should be able to form associations, or we should be able to partake in that wealth. And we all agree. I'm sure many of us here agree. So we will have to factor that into our proposals to make sure that whatever needs to be done to make this equitable for local talent, local entrepreneurs to be able to go into it, they will have to. But you don't make a case by destroying all around you and then say, you're not inviting me to the table, that's why I'm destroying my country. That is just.
But I think just quickly, Elizabeth, I mean, what we're saying, what I'm saying here is that none of us, all three of us, are not disagreeing with what you're saying. The problem is there's just this tendency to group all small scale mining into one category. And this is what happened with Vanguard last time. They grouped everything, including those people who had licenses. And they're legitimate business owners who have gone through the whole process of getting a license, and they're as legal as the shop that you see on Oxford Street in Osu. You know, they're a legal business. So they shouldn't be included and clumped together. And this is the problem. When you don't disaggregate and separate the different categories of operators, the 5% of miners who are mining in the forest reserves and mining alongside the rivers. I find that interesting about the forest reserves, because in the same forest reserve, the Ghana government has given out a concession to the Chinese to mine bauxite. But anyway, it's a problem, because we can't clump these miners together. I mean, I always tell people that a small scale mining community is the only place that you'll probably find a trained accountant or a dude with a master's degree working alongside an illiterate farmer. It's eclectic. It's a heterogeneous population we're dealing with. Everyone there is on a different livelihood trajectory. There's a kid there trying to earn money to go to university. And what it does is it illuminates the wider problems in Ghana and Africa linked to poverty and linked to social development. And these problems have to be fixed in order to transform small scale mining from the poverty driven activity it is into something more entrepreneurial and opportunistic driven. So these are the issues, and like, you know, moving forward, I guess, you know, the only request I would have is that you make it very clear, and you've sort of indicated to this, doing this already, that it's the specific groups of miners that are mining in the forest reserves and alongside the rivers that need to stop their activities. And the concerns we have is that when people see these images, and it happens all the time because the Ghana media is so powerful, and obviously what the government is doing is it sends out a very powerful message, is that we just group these people together. And like, you look at Emmanuel's story, and I mean, Emmanuel's story, I mean, those people have been struggling for 30 years to get concessions, and there are people who wait many, many years to get concessions, and then when they do get concessions, there's no gold in it. So it's a frustrating process for them, and some of the areas that should be given out to small scale miners because of the geology and could never support a large scale mining company haven't been given out to small scale miners. So this is the other story that needs to be inserted into the equation, because these are miners that are not mining on river bodies.
Thank you so much. Any other points? So the request I'll make, Gavin, and please, if you're in touch with them, let them know is, again, we are not against mining small scale or large scale. What we are against is destruction of the rivers of the forest reserves. So they can help us by telling their colleagues that are doing that. We have a proverb that says, what is it? One fish spoils and it affects the whole lot, right? So right now, it's very difficult to tell the average Ghanaian that this small scale miner is innocent and that one is the one that is destroying their rivers, because they are all in the same soup. But they can help us help their cause and our cause by making sure that they speak to those people among them who are giving them a bad name. And the point about them not having a place that they can mine legally, I think that's something that really stuck with me, and the rest of the points that have been raised here about how difficult the process is. And we are going to, I already forwarded Kurom's first message to the ranking member and also the minister. Whether they will listen or not is another issue, but we're going to make sure that we incorporate some of those things into our solution proposals. But we need to help each other. We need to make sure that people stop. It's just not sustainable for a country to watch its rivers turn like this. It's as a Ghanaian, I feel ashamed even looking at them, just sad and ashamed. And that is why when it comes to Amanzule, that one will be a different fight altogether. So very good discussions, and I think it's been very fruitful. Anyone has anything else? So for the Galamsey Action Group, Audrey's team that is looking at solutions, they have shared a number of proposals. Unfortunately, Audrey couldn't make it, but I don't know if we can go through that given the time that we have, but I can share it to.
Yeah, and I think we can look at it later on so we can understand what it.
Yeah, so take a look. Dr. O'Brien and what's his name? Echo. Well, you'll be more like honorary members. So I will send you copies as well. I'll send you the link if you want to be part of this. Please feel free to give us some information, and then let's do this together. Again, we are non-partisan. All I care about is seeing PRA back to life, seeing Ankobra back to life. It doesn't matter to me whether it's NDC, MPP. To me, they can do whatever, but we need the right thing.
And ensuring that Amanzule is not touched.
Oh my goodness, they shouldn't even dare.
But let me ask Kobates one question, since it's an engineer, regarding the river bodies which have been polluted now. Echo, is there any way, or how long would it take for these waters which have been destroyed, colors change, like the Joint Lagoon and the others, regain their normal colors, or is there any engineering work that the government has to undertake to make them better, or what? Is there any technology? I heard UMass saying that they can make it well. I don't know how long they're going to take to make that, but since you are an engineer, maybe you can. I don't know much about rivers. Maybe you can tell us how long it's going to take for this to be done, and whether it's going to be capital intensive, or it is to take a long time for the mercury and all these substances to get out of the rivers.
Oh, thank you very much. I think that first of all, we need to start from what this group is all about. We need to get the people out of the rivers so that we allow the river bodies to settle on its own. And then we also need to do some chemical analysis to know the extent to which some of these rivers are polluted. So it will take quite a while, but then it starts from where this group is pushing. We need to get the people out of the place and allow the river to naturally settle on its own.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I had a little one there. See, it's her future. We are trying to protect here so that she can go to Joyen Lagoon, Jawe Wharf, and see how beautiful that place is supposed to be.
No, she lives in London.
Oh, okay.
She usually go to Ghana with his dad. Right, I can see. Is it Hilton sharing his email address? So that is very good. We'll take note of that.
Yeah, that's the prof. He reached out to me first. We've been fighting. You have no idea. So at least we're getting to it.
You don't need to fight. We are all on the same course. Getting the people out of the river bodies. Stop them for now and then regularize this properly. You don't need to fight. It's a course.
You have no idea. But I'm glad that he at least he's brought more people on board, and we get to look at things from different perspectives. So that's very good.
He has said it. No fighting. So I'm monitoring everything. Yeah.
Abby, you want to say something? I think it's your first time in this on this platform.
But meeting
no, I was just making an observation about your comment regarding fishermen, because I've been studying the fishermen in that area for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just mining that's an issue. The issues are multiple. So it will be very myopic for us to go with, or for your group to go with a singular objective, because there are so many things interconnected. So it'll be very useful for you to actually study the information behind what you're seeing, the manifestations that you're seeing at the moment. So that was the point I was trying to raise.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like this caught our attention, and it's really taking all of our strength, because this is very visible, and it's an eyesore. So whatever you have on that front, we can look at it. But I think if it's 100%, the mining takes about 80% of what we are seeing right now.
My concern is I want Mr. Ekobates and Kwesi Obin to join us.
They will. We'll send them the link. So I think we've made it clear that we need the expertise here. So
I'm not invited, but that's okay.
Both the three of them, Hilton, is it Hilton or
Hilton, Gavin.
Hilton, Gavin, Mr. Batters, and Dr. Oben. I heard Dr. Oben last time. I think after the interview or somebody, they also interviewed Dr. Oben on one of the radio stations. So
Metro TV.
Yeah, that's right. Was it Metro TV or one of the other radio stations or something? So I think it's important for us to get these personalities with us. They will also provide ideas and expertise on the way forward. So it's important to have them on the platform, if they will.
Okay.
They've not gone yet. They are here. So I want them now. If they will, they should tell us they will, so that
we get putting them on the spot.
Yes. Mr. Elko,
and then Dr. they asking you. Mike, you didn't say you wanted me to join, so I'm feeling a bit left out here.
I think Madam says she will send us the link. So once she sends it,
I've posted my number here. As soon as you flash, I'll just add you to it. Tweet out.
All right, that's fine. I'll do that.
Okay.
Mr. Kwesi Obin, we are waiting for your response.
Yes, the response of my attention was taken a little bit by
the problem is I want you to the group. Whether you like it or yes, we are adding you to the group, Galamsey Action Group.
No worries
and
at all.
I've posted my number there. You just flash me and I'll just add you to the group. That's all.
Not a problem.
Yeah, and my request is, please, if you have interactions with the small scale miners, we need them to partner us in terms of getting those people among them who are destroying the rivers to get out of there. If we have that understanding, I think we can help articulate their their requests in terms of what they expect the government to do, and they expect Ghanaians to understand and do. Yeah.
I mean, I think just quickly, Elizabeth, you were talking about the mining association, the small scale mining association. I mean, it is a political animal, so you have to be very careful about rely. And it's not. I'm not singling out that particular association. Most of the small scale mining associations in Africa, anywhere, I mean, tend to be very politicized, and there's always been, if you want to sort of look at it at the most basic level, there's always been this tendency for certain miners from certain regions to not want to join the association because perhaps they're more influential or they're more wealthy versus the others who need that platform to have their voices heard. And there's always been this concern with and it certainly emerged fully during the build up to Operation Vanguard. I mean, the association, I don't know, I'm not going to sort of point any fingers here, but there's a broad consensus amongst certain groups that the association was complicit in basically coordinating a lot of the military exercises, which were very destructive in many communities. So you go back to they've given them 2 weeks. Well, maybe the 2 weeks is an apology for all the destruction they caused during the previous military-led exercise. So they've given them 2 weeks of a 2-week grace period to remove their excavators from the river and the forests. But yeah, so just quickly, finally, there is a group that's sort of an offshoot of this, and that's the Ghana Women in Mining, and they're really good. You can play ball with them, but they are the first to admit that they didn't sort of evolve out of the small scale mining structure. The Accra Mining Group, then you had sort of this as an add-on to the Small Scale Mining Association. So they're not very well rehearsed in the small scale mining issues as perhaps other organizations, grassroots level organizations are. What I wanted to say, though, is there was a very interesting point raised by Mr. Mensah yesterday as to what the first step is. And I think what would be a very significant first step is the fact that, I mean, we've obviously made this issue cross-ministerial, which comes with many consequences and potentially benefits. I think what would be a good starting point is to bring on board or to try to engage other ministries and other departments that could provide a voice or provide guidance, because you talk about the youth. We've talked about a lot of development issues here, the youth, women, not only the health issues, but agriculture as well. When you get a more sort of interdisciplinary perspective in the room, and you have people arguing with each other and debating on different sort of angles and taking things from different angles, then that generally leads to more robust solutions. And it's not academic at all. It's if we start looking at this as just being sort of a military exercise, that these people need to be removed and put into other livelihoods and things need to be done systematically, then I think that's the first step towards achieving that. Get the ministry, the people looking at gender, the people looking at agric, people looking at, you have a ministry of local government and rural development, right? So, involving those ministries could be a very important first step and certainly a low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, Maru, I think I agree with with him. I think part of the problem that we've had in Ghana is lack of employment. I mean, there are so many people and in so many areas who do not have jobs. And so that is why Emmanuel, the guy from Prisia who was talking about what they know to do best is the mining, because they don't have any other jobs probably available for them. Even farming, agriculture is not being promoted so well in various areas that people can take advantage of. And for the benefit of those of us on the platform, Hudson and Dr. Oben and we have also been trying to, as a group, to get some lands somewhere, at least those areas that we come from in the same area, to get some lands to promote agriculture. And it's something that we're also looking at. But I think that is going to be part of our proposal to let the government ensure that they have created employment opportunities for people. Maybe some of them may want to leave this and get into agriculture, which is a very good thing to do, or any other employment. opportunity, but they are not there, and that's why they are also focused on this kind of small scale mining. Of course, going forward with your assistance, you see how we can push for a better mining process and how this can be properly regulated. And it has to be clear, we are not against them, but we are against the destruction, the pollution of the river bodies, destruction of lands, forests, and so on and so forth. That's what we are against. But once it comes to regulating them properly, getting the government to make sure that things are properly set out for them to do something, I think it will be part of the agenda of this, or it's already the agenda of this group, that we have to need your expertise to move forward on that. Thank you.
Yeah, and does anyone have readily available, like the number of people in the sector, which regions in the country, and like that kind of information in terms of people who are into the small scale mining and who can potentially be come under some kind of umbrella or some kind of cooperative, if we're looking at advocating for the opening up of some of these concessions for them. Do we know like how many people we're dealing with?
It's difficult to come up with exact statistics on that. It's always been a range. People put it from between 1 and 2 million. And I think the majority will be in the southern side of the country, largely in the western region and Ashanti region. It is gradually moving up north, the Dapupe area, Boli area as well. So it's difficult to get an exact figure. I mean, if you look at most of the studies done, you always see estimates rather than exact figures. But I believe that the majority will be in the south, in the western region in particular, and then eastern and Ashanti region. This area would carry most of the operators in that area. And a point that needs to be made is also how to carry the message to a higher level. As I indicated, those who you see operating are really not the beneficiaries of the small scale mining. Okay, of course they have jobs to do, they make some money and all that, but really they are not. If you look at the equipment being used, I don't see a poor small scale miner having access to procure an excavator.
Exactly.
Or even to rent one, which is about 2,000 Ghana cedis or more a day. And then if you look at those operating on the river banks, you see that the access to those pontoons and things that are used there, it couldn't be procured by ordinary small scale miners. So I think we need to ensure that the message goes up, and I'm glad that you are sending the message through the committee chairman and ranking members. I mean, those working in the forest, the ordinary people would hardly be able to go into the forest to work without fear of being apprehended or punished or something. It would be for those who have power and believe that they can be there without a problem. And these are not hidden things. These are things that have been said in the media. Some have pointed out names and all those. So it's good that we would like to make this thing something for everybody, and then a force that looks at the outcome. And I like the approach of the environment, because I think that's the issue. The impact on the environment is the key issue. So the water body, and we have when the Vanguard started, my personal advice was that it should be a show of force for 3 months or 2 months. And then rather once in a while there should be, I was a little bullish about this. Once in a while there could be a flight on the river banks. When they see their, the helicopter or military helicopter flying on the river bank, people will stop going there. I mean, I'm not saying that is the solution, because I believe in long-term solution. But I think that the target should be the major beneficiaries of it, rather than the people you see and who bears the brunt. If a gun is fired, it's received by someone who probably just gets some payment. And then in terms of the alternatives, it is great that I think Gavin and one of you mentioned that there should be multifaceted, and we should have we should have other ministries involved. Employment is key. As I indicated in the beginning, people who go there in the drudgery of that activity, if people had other alternative, well-paying jobs, they won't do that. And sometimes I even pity the women. The burden they carry, they have to carry heavy burdens from one point to another just for some amount, which is used actually in buying analgesics. Most of them use that to buy paracetamol, something, because their bodies will be aching them all the time. So these are the people who are amenable to moving from the drudgery of mining, even if it's legal or illegal. So I think we need to have a very holistic view of this, and we will be available to contribute our widow's mite to this discussion.
And Lou, it's too bad we don't have Audrey on the phone. I mean, on the call. Yesterday, I had a conversation with her, and she mentioned a Ghanaian person in Texas who was ready to invest something like $10 or $12 million into a project in Ghana, some farming. And as she reviewed the report, she found out that there was going to be a need for water. And the river where she was going to draw the water from is so polluted that it was going to cost her hundreds of thousands of dollars to restore the water, because she didn't want to have these poor farmers start growing whatever crop. And then when they start using it, say, we can't buy it because your crop is not good. They'll feel deceived. You know, so if you don't take care of the water, and here's an investment that could employ so many people. So many. If the water is not good, you can't do it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I will send her the recording. She wanted to be part of it, but she did bring us some points, and I think we've gotten some points here. I would like Dr. Auburn and maybe a call to be part of her group to polish up the solutions, and then we do like a convener grouping with these ministers and lay it out. And then we're not just going to say, oh, we're going to put systems in place. We would want to come out of there with action points on who is doing what to take us to the expected end. So, okay. Thank you all so much. This has been very, very good. Too bad we couldn't get on Facebook, but I will take portions of it and post it so that people can listen in as well. We're going to continue to make this the apolitical organization that it is, and put the pressure where it needs to be. And again, the miners, if they can be with us to clear the bad nuts from the river, we're going to be more than glad to be part of them. They are loudest voice in making sure that they get their part of concessions and they actually get properly organized and properly do the business without destroying the environment. So that one I can assure them. Okay, so if there's no other thing, then we can call this meeting a day then. I'll be booking a board meeting just to finalize the account opening and those things as well. So we'll have that in the course of the coming week.
I just want to thank Dr. Auburn, Batters, and Gavin for joining us today. They've expressed wonderful opinions on this platform, and it's very much appreciated. So we need them as strong experts to be with us on this platform. We thank them so much for their time.
Yeah. And please share some of the writings.
And everyone else, I'm not leaving other members out. I want to thank everybody. Mr. Amma, General Coordinator.
General Coordinator, Mr. Amma, yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
We are the silent majority.
Yeah. Mrs. Hammond, how is the fundraiser platform coming?
Yes, I think on the next meeting I'll talk about that.
Okay.
So that, and go to agencies and organizations and plead for. So I'll talk about that next time.
Perfect. Fred.
Yes.
So we are with you 100% on Atiwa. Nobody mind that. Not the big ones, not the small ones, not the medium ones. Nobody.
And Dr. Aubin, I'll get your information from Michael Adeba later on.
Yeah, I can share.
Okay. What about our dues? What about our dues? Are people paying you?
No, we haven't gotten any dues yet.
Okay.
We haven't really formalized it, structured it. So we talked about it and accepted what it's going to be, but
yeah. So our next internal meeting, we're gonna finalize those next. I'm still also waiting for people to sign up for some of the, openings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we'll connect again maybe in a week, but we will go back and forth on the platform as well.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.